NASCAR just did something they have never done before in the history of this sport, something that stops you cold, something that reminds every single one of us that racing is just a game and life is so much bigger than any point standings, any trophy, any win. This one hurts. This one really, really hurts. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation news is just getting started. We are pushing for our next subscriber milestone, and it's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every week. All right, let's get into it. You open up NASCAR's official point standings right now, and his name is just gone. Kyle Busch, gone. Not dropped, not suspended, not penalized, gone. And I want you to sit with that for a second, because that's not something I ever thought I'd be saying about one of the greatest drivers this sport has ever produced. Kyle Busch, Rowdy, passed away Thursday at just 41 years old. He contracted sepsis after a case of pneumonia turned catastrophic. According to his death certificate, he had been battling bacterial pneumonia for days to weeks before clots began forming in his bloodstream. And then that was it. I'm just going to say it straight. 41 years old. 41. And I know we don't always agree with Kyle Busch. Lord knows this fan base had a complicated relationship with the man. But nobody wanted it to end like this, not even close. Now here's the thing, and stick with me here, because the story of what NASCAR did next says a lot about this sport and about the people inside it. After conversations with Richard Childress Racing, Kyle's team, NASCAR, made the decision to remove his name from the official Cup Series point standings entirely. They didn't announce it loudly. There was no press conference. His name just quietly disappeared from the website. And Fox Sports confirmed the reasoning. It was done out of empathy, out of respect, so that fans, families, teammates wouldn't have to scroll through standings every week and see his name sitting there at 23rd, as if he might suit up this weekend and go racing again. That decision is going to divide people, and I want to talk about why. But first, let's acknowledge what those 217 points actually represented, because Kyle Busch wasn't done. He was not done. In his last 3 races, Rowdy was starting to find something. A 10th at Talladega, an 8th at Watkins Glen. Those are his first 2 top 10 finishes of the 2025 season. That's the kind of momentum that, for a guy like Kyle Busch, you don't dismiss. That's a driver fighting for relevance, grinding through a difficult stretch, refusing to quit. And that's the cruel irony of all of this, because for the last couple of years, the narrative around Kyle Busch had become uncomfortable. Our cages couldn't give him the equipment he needed. After scoring 246 top 5s in his first 678 Cup Series races, Rowdy managed just 8 in his final 84. 8? That's not a reflection of Kyle Busch, the driver. That's a reflection of what happens when a Hall of Fame talent is given a car that can't compete. But here's the thing people forget, or maybe choose not to say right now, and I'm going to say it. Kyle Busch had 234 career NASCAR wins across all 3 national series. 234 wins. He is the winningest driver in the entire history of NASCAR's 3 national series. He is the all-time wins leader in the Truck Series. He is the all-time wins leader in what is now the Xfinity Series. And he ranks 9th all-time in Cup Series history with 63 wins. And his last NASCAR win, May 15, 2025, just weeks before his death in the Truck Series at Dover, he went out on top. He went out with a win. And somehow that feels both like a mercy and like it makes this entire thing even harder to process. Now, about NASCAR removing him from the standings, I need to be honest with you about this, because there are 2 ways to look at it, and both of them are legitimate. On one hand, it is a beautiful act of grace. Nobody wants to see Kyle Busch listed at 23rd week after week, accumulating 0 points, falling further and further down the standings as the season goes on. That's not a legacy. That's not how you honor 234 wins and 2 Cup Series championships. RCR asked for it, NASCAR obliged. And I think in that moment, the sport did the right thing. But on the other hand, and stick with me here, some fans are asking, does erasing his name from the record change anything? Does removing the data from a website change the grief? And I think what it really does is force us to confront something even harder. The standings never mattered. Not really. Not for Kyle Busch. The standings were just a number beside a name. What mattered were the moments, the burnouts, the celebrations, the fury, the passion, the unbelievable talent that this man brought to this sport every single time he strapped in. 2 Cup Series championships, a legacy that no one will ever be able to touch in the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series, a career that, even in its most difficult stretch, was still producing top 10 finishes at superspeedways and road courses. Kyle Busch was one of a kind, and whatever your feelings were about him, love him, hate him, couldn't stop watching him, you knew it. His last win came on May 15th at Dover in the trucks. I want you to think about that. His last race win was just weeks ago. He was out there grinding, he was fighting, he was still Kyle Busch. And then, in a matter of days, pneumonia turned to sepsis, and sepsis took him. The Richard Childress Racing team is devastated. A NASCAR family is devastated, and an entire fan base, even the ones who spent years booing him at Bristol, at Texas, at every track where Rowdy gave them reason to boo, is sitting with that now. Because you don't boo a ghost. You don't boo a memory. You just remember. Here's where I'm going to leave it, and I want to hear from you in the comments. NASCAR removed Kyle Busch from the standings out of empathy, out of respect for RCR, for his family, for his legacy, and I think that was the right call. But the bigger question, the one that lingers, is this. How do you want this sport to remember Kyle Busch? Not the final season, not the RCR years where the cars couldn't match the talent, not the drama, not the controversies, but the full picture. The 2004 wins, the 2 championships, the talent that made him simultaneously the most hated and most respected driver on any given Sunday. Drop your answer in the comments. Tell me what Kyle Busch meant to you. Tell me your favorite memory of Rowdy. And if this video hit you the way it hit me when I sat down to make it, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe to NASCAR Nation News. We are building something real here, a community for fans who actually live this sport, who feel it. Because days like today remind us exactly why we do.